Welcome to This Explainer. Let's be totally honest with ourselves for a second here. We've all had those moments where we absolutely stumble over a word we've read 100 times but rarely ever say out loud. Well, today, we're going to normalize those everyday speaking struggles. We're going to dive right in and master the American English pronunciation, meaning, and usage of 10 notoriously tricky words.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this masterclass. First, we'll look at the silent letter trap. Then, we'll beware phantom letters. Third, we're tackling syllable scramblers and swappers. And we'll wrap up with clarity breeds true confidence.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the silent letter trap. These are words with letters that are literally meant to be completely ignored.
Looking at these first three words, they all share a super common trap, which is dropping a specific letter. For often, it's traditionally the T. And for salmon and almond, we're looking at a completely silent L. Take everybody's favorite pinkish fish, for example. Say it out loud with me right now. Salmon. Notice how we leave the L completely silent. You definitely want to avoid the incorrect salmon. Just imagine the L completely swam away.
And the exact same rule applies to our next word. Standard American English completely drops the L in almond to make it almond or almond. There is absolutely no L required when you say, I like to start my day with a handful of almonds.
Moving right along to Section 2, beware the phantom letters. This is all about inventing letters that simply aren't there. The trap here is that widespread habit of inserting extra vowels or consonants into words where they definitely do not belong.
Okay, be honest. How many of us have stood in a jam-packed coffee shop, rushing to get that morning caffeine fix, and accidentally asked the barista for a double shot of espresso?
Well, spoiler alert. There is absolutely zero X in this strong black coffee. None at all. It's made by forcing steam through ground beans, not by adding an X. Practice the rhythm with me. E-S-P-R-E-S-S-O. Espresso. Let's make sure to leave the X out of our coffee orders. Which brings us to a wildly common phantom letter trap. With the word mischievous, we kind of just invent this extra I sound at the end, making it mischievous, but the actual correct pronunciation is mischievous. You really have to keep it strictly to 3 beats.
Keep the exact meaning in mind here, causing trouble in a playful way. That way you can confidently tell people that the mischievous puppy hid your shoes without stumbling over the syllables. It's mischievous. Just 3 quick, simple beats.
Finally, for this trap, we have a word that means in a way that is exact and clear. When a plan is designed exactly for beginners, please make sure you don't confuse the word with the Pacific Ocean by dropping the S. You aren't doing something pacifically, you're doing it specifically. Really hit that S sound right at the start.
All right, let's dive into Section 3, syllable scramblers and swappers. Swapping letters, adding beats, or mashing syllables. The trap here isn't adding or dropping letters, but mashing them together or swapping their order entirely. Oh man, here's a classic swapper mistake. When you want to, say something in order to obtain information or make a request, do you accidentally swap the consonant sounds? It's incredibly common to hear people say ax hoos.
Yeah, swapping those S and K sounds is a big no-no. You got to ensure the S sound comes strictly before the K to make it ask. Get that order right, and you'll feel completely free to ask any questions you have with total confidence.
So for these longer, scrambled-up words we're about to hit, I want you to adopt a super simple mantra. Say it, check it, say it again. We literally have to consciously practice these multisyllable words rhythmically, out loud, to rewire our brain's automatic habits. Let's actually apply that to the word epitome. The trap here is looking at the spelling and wanting to rhyme it with home, saying epitome. Instead, step through its 4 distinct syllables like you're a vocal coach. Pet, me. And notice that the final E is absolutely pronounced. Nailing that 4-syllable delivery is the exact right way to describe a perfect example of a particular quality. Like, she is the epitome of kindness. Practice that flow. It feels great when you get it right.
Similarly, when you mean almost certainly, try to avoid the classic scrambler trap of blurring the whole word into probably or probably. Deliberately hit all 3 distinct beats. Probably. It will probably rain later this evening, and you will probably pronounce it correctly from now on. And for our last scrambler, we've got a really common one.
Try not to mash the syllables and completely skip that first R when you're talking about a building full of books. It is not a library. It's a library. You really have to navigate both of those R sounds.
Picture yourself in that quiet room, surrounded by massive collections of books, and really lock in both of those R sounds. I spent the afternoon studying at the local library. Beautiful.
As we wrap up this explainer, let's look at Section 4, Clarity Breeds True Confidence. We're talking about the fluid nature of language and how it isn't always this rigid set of unchanging rules, but something that actually shifts and breathes over time.
Let's actually cycle back to the very first word we looked at today. Remember often? Well, while we learned that the T is traditionally silent, making it AWFN, pronouncing that T as AWF10 is actually becoming fully accepted in modern speech.
Because whether you choose to say AF fun or AF ton, it still carries the exact same meaning, right? Doing something frequently or many times, like going for a walk after dinner. This just proves that clear, mutually understood communication is the ultimate goal here.
And that evolution brings us to a final thought for today. If the dictionary itself can change over time to accept new pronunciations based on popular usage, is correct language really an absolute, unbreakable rule? Or is it just an ever-evolving reflection of how we connect with each other? Keep practicing, keep checking, but most importantly, keep connecting. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.